Hey everyone, so good to be back with you and see you again. I wish we could see you in person, but it's great to be seeing you in the screen, as it always is. And this week we are going to be talking about a whole new story. We've been doing the fruits of the Spirit for a long time, but now we're going to go into some of the Old Testament stories, some of the oldest stories that have ever been told. And we're going to learn today and in the next few weeks about the story of a man named Joseph. It's one of my favorite stories in the whole Bible. I think you're going to like it too. So we're going to sing a new song, and then we're going to come back and we're going to learn the story of Joseph and his dreams.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, shout amen. If you're happy and you know it, shout amen. Amen. If you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, shout amen. Amen. If you're happy and you know it, 2 or 3. Amen. If you're happy and you know it, 2 or 3. Amen. If you're happy and you know it, then your life will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, 2 or 3.
Psalm 47 verse 1. Come everyone, clap your hands. Shout to God with joyful praise.
Hip hip hooray for God! Clap your hands, shout, jump up and down because God is awesome!
Now the story of Joseph goes like this. There once was an old man named Jacob. Jacob was Joseph's dad. But Jacob had more sons than just Joseph. In fact, he had 12 sons. And Joseph was number 11. Can you imagine being the 11th child of your parents? Well, Joseph was the 11th child of his dad, and his dad loved him very much. In fact, his dad thought he was his favorite. And so because he was his favorite, all of Joseph's brothers and sisters were very jealous of Joseph. They didn't like that he was the favorite, and they didn't like that he pretended to be the favorite. But then one day, Joseph's dad, Jacob, decided to give him a present fit for a king. In fact, it was a present that, back in his time, would have been made him look like a royal prince. And that present was a robe, a fine robe of beautiful cloth. Maybe it had many colors, and it had long sleeves and a long trail behind it. It might have had a hood even. It was a robe fit for a prince. It might have looked a little like this one. This one that I have is only one color, and Joseph's probably had a lot of colors. But this one is similar. It's very soft. It's very long. It has long sleeves. And it has a hood that you can throw over the top and be protected from the sun. And when you put it on, you feel like a prince. So Joseph wore that robe everywhere he went. And his normal day job, the thing that he did every day, was that he would go into the fields and watch the sheep. Sheep kind of like this one. This happens to be Sarah the sheep. And Sarah the sheep, also known as Baba, was a good example of one of Joseph's sheep. Joseph loved to watch the sheep. And so every day he would be out there making sure that the sheep didn't run away and didn't get hurt and didn't fall into any traps, and made sure that they were safe and sound in his arms. But one day, he went out to watch the sheep, and he was wearing his blue robe, his many-colored robe, and his brothers, and he told his brothers, who were also out there, that he'd had a dream. And in that dream, he said, "You all bowed down to me. And even Mom and Dad bowed down to me." Well, this made his brothers even more mad, because they were already mad about the coat. But they were more mad now. And so they decided that they needed to figure out what to do with Joseph. And when he left, they decided to make a plot, that they would throw him into a pit, or maybe kill him. And that would stop all of his dreaming once and for all. But Joseph didn't know that they were plotting against him, and so that night he went home and he had another dream. And in that dream, he dreamed that the stars were bowing down to him, and that the 11 brothers of his were 11 stars that were also bowing down. Well, the next day, Joseph decided he would tell his brothers this dream too. And he walked over to their camp, to where they were, and he told them about this dream also. Well, this made them even more angry, and they were more than ever convinced that they needed to do something about Joseph. Well, a few weeks passed, some time, and Joseph's brothers were out in the fields watching the flocks a long way from home. And Jacob, Joseph's dad, was starting to get worried about his sons. So he said, "Joseph, hey, Joseph, can you go check on them?" And Joseph said, "Well, sure." And so he went and walked 65 miles to find them. It was a many-day journey. And when he finally found his brothers, he was excited. But they were not excited to see him. Instead, they grabbed him and they threw him into a pit. And then they took his coat and they sprinkled blood all over it. And they took it back to Joseph's dad, Jacob, and they said, "Look, a wild animal ate your son, and look, you can see the blood on his coat." Well, Jacob knew the coat that was his son's, and he saw the blood, and he thought for sure that Joseph was dead. But Joseph was not dead. His brothers decided that they didn't want to leave Joseph in the pit, and so they pulled him up out of the pit and they sold him into slavery. That means he was going to work for no money and have to work really hard for a long time. But he was never going to be free unless God got him free. Well, Joseph could have been very sad and he could have been very upset. But God saw what was going on. And he decided that he was going to use all of this bad things, all these terrible things that had happened to Joseph. His brothers being jealous of him, hating him, throwing him into a pit, and then finally selling him into slavery. He was going to use all of that to bring about a way to save the people of Israel from their own death and destruction. He was going to turn it all around into something good. What a mighty God we serve. Isn't it so cool how God can take even mean, terrible, awful things that are hurt so bad and turn them into good things. Things that save people, that remind us of God's love, things that bring healing to relationships, that help us feel closer together with one another and make us feel part of God's family because we are part of His family. God can do all that and more because He is so powerful. Well, it's been great to be with you again today, but our time has come to be in an end. And I wanted us to sing one more song together, so you'll see the words and the music come up on the screen after this. But if you want to keep talking about Joseph with your family today, one of the things you can do is make your own coat of many colors. You could get a bunch of strips of colored paper and tape them onto a shirt and make a coat of many colors. Another thing you could do is to get a robe like the one that I had and wear it around and act out the story of Joseph. Have your parents read it for you and then act out the different parts. So those are a couple ideas that you could do this afternoon with your family. And so now let's sing one more song to Jesus, and then we'll see you next week.
This the light